Hello and welcome to episode 1014 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, February 15th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good day, sir.
Good day to you.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's a beautiful sunny day. I mean,
That's
out
right.
here it's got a little cold last night, but it's like 65 degrees right now, and so I'm chilling.
That's where it's been here, where the days are beautiful, even brisk. I mean, it's a little windy today, which anyone who's heard me whine about the weather knows I hate the wind the most. I know the reputation I have is that if the temperature dips below 70, I have 5 jackets on, only if it's windy. I truly can deal with like a 40-degree still day with a jacket. I'll be appropriately dressed, but once the wind kicks in, all hell breaks loose. But we've been having the same thing: 60s, even some 70s during the day, and then very cold at night. And that's just kind of the February March cycle in Texas and in the middle of California. Are you in middle or northern?
We're northern, yeah.
Okay, so Northern California.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got lots to talk about. So no more weather chatter. We got to dive right in. We actually have a little bit of news because I think one thing that a lot of us, and I'll include myself here, so I'm not just casting aspersions, that a lot of us forget is that with this lockout, major leaguers are locked out. That's it. Minor league stuff can still happen. And so we've actually seen some moves with some names. You know, Jairo Munoz might be one that you recognize that the Phillies signed, a utility guy. But a big one is that the A's signed Eric Thames to a minor league deal coming back from overseas. Now, if you remember, he was a prospect with the Jays back in the day, made a little bit of noise, but never really popped off, goes overseas to Korea, becomes a literal god. Like, he is beloved over there. He went crazy. He was just such a wonderful player. And if you're not familiar with him, real affable, nice dude too. So it was a match made to like absorb the stardom over there in Korea. He put up a 40-40 season, 47 homers, 40 steals, 37 homer, 11 steal season with a 343 average. He had 381 in the 40-40 season, and then a 40-13 season, which brought him over to the States again. As you know, with Milwaukee, he had that great start. It ended up still being a fantastic season. A couple decent more seasons with Milwaukee. Goes over to Washington, struggles, ends up going overseas for 21 to Japan this time. Didn't really get going. Only played 10 games. I would imagine injury derailed him. So now he's back and going to sign a minor league deal with the A's, as I mentioned. Is this putting him on your DC list at all? Eric Thames.
Maybe super late if I'm in a DC in which I need power.
Update you real quick. Torn Achilles was why he missed so much of 21 for Eric Thames.
So yeah, I mean, if I'm looking for power late, I'd be interested. Where's he eligible this year?
It would have to be.
Is it first or first and outfield?
I'm pretty sure he played first because the last time he was here was 20. No, he played enough. 27 games at first. It should be first base for Eric Thames.
It's first base on NFBC. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking for a corner infielder with power at the end of the draft, sure.
He's going to be their full-time starter because they're going to trade Matt Olson.
And that's kind of.
I'm only partly kidding, by the way.
He probably will be.
I mean, right? Like,
yeah. I mean,
again, I'm only partly kidding because they haven't traded him yet. But like, does it not add up?
Right now, he's kind of on the outside looking in. But you look at their roster, the moment they trade Matt Olson, I think he's a full-time player.
Yeah, because Seth Brown can play first if you prefer his defense over Thames's, or Thames can go there, which I think, I don't know the split on defense between Brown and Thames, but they're one and the same, to be honest. So even if Olson isn't traded, Thames could beat out Brown. Or Brown could move to the outfield. Like there's some flexibility here, or Thames could too, but he's not a very good outfielder. That I do know. I don't know his first base acumen, but I know his outfield acumen is not awesome, and he'll be coming off a torn Achilles. So we'll see. But I just wanted to put that name out there for folks. We are in draft champion season, where the bulk of drafts are the DCs that go 50 rounds deep with 15 teams. So Eric Thames got to be on the list.
Yeah, I mean, he's on this draft that you and I are doing right now. I'm a little light on power, and so he might be a guy I target late in the draft.
I mean, we're only in round 21 right now, so you don't have to do it yet. But the rounds start turning into the mid-30s. I think Eric Thames becomes a pretty viable option. So I just wanted to get him out there, let folks know. I've always been of the mind that I always kind of give a little extra look to what Oakland does. I think they're a sharp team, even though some of the stuff they do pisses me off with their frugality and cost cutting. I know it's sharp for a winning standpoint, but it can be very frustrating from like a team fandom building standpoint. But Eric Thames, there you go. All right. Well, you end episode on Sunday, huh? How'd that go?
It went really well. I had Michael Simone on.
Yeah,
he talked about
guess,
the SB Streamer guide. We answered a bunch of Twitter questions.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fantastic episode.
Yeah, talked some mad shit too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you sure did. You guys had a lot of things to say about my team, which is interesting. I wasn't on the episode. Y'all can't keep your names out my mouth. And you had the nerve to suggest that my Speaker League team is very bad.
It is very bad.
Quote.
Yes, very bad.
What a comically stupid take from you. This is hilarious. You want to try to justify this? This was based off of you knowing like 5 players, by the way, too, which made it even funnier. But what exactly is the problem with my team that has Albies, Trout, Clase, Flaherty, Alonso, Lynn, Franmil, Grandal, Scott Barlow, Akil Baddoo, Justin Turner, Brendan Rodgers, O'Neill Cruz, and Patrick Sandoval? I don't know how much more you know beyond that, but the Patrick Sandoval part was where it
that's about it. A little worried about your pitching staff. With Sandoval being like your number 3 starter. I've heard that Jeff Zimmerman is just taking all the pitchers, which
he
could
absolutely is.
Yeah, so I guess I understand it. I think Simeone said he was a little worried about your speed on top of that.
Not completely unfair. I just thought it was
a lot of risk on that team, like injury risk and stuff. Guys that
I don't know.
Yeah,
coming from a guy with a team that has Mondesi and Gleyber Torres and Nelson Cruz and Eugenio Suarez and Blake Snell as your 3rd starter, I'm like, this guy's
Blake
coming
Snell
at me.
is way better.
Me sideways.
Blake Snell is way better than Patrick Sandoval as a 3rd starter. And I'm waiting on pitching.
Ooh, way better? I don't know about that. So, because you thought it wise to blast my team here,
yes,
I decided to do a comparison
of
my Speaker League team with your triple play team. Now, it's 2 different leagues, but I just did the top 12 hitters because I have 12 hitters. Or you only have 12 hitters, and I didn't want to go deeper than that because then obviously the numbers are going to be wrong. Or unfair if I have 15 hitters versus your 12. So I did our 12 hitters. I have 313 homers to your 263. I'm absolutely decimating you.
Like I said, I'm light on power, but I can get power later.
But it's going to be bad power because then it's going to kill your average where we're tied at 257 each. And you're going to be eating that power. So by the way, let me lay out your team. So it's Tucker, Real Muto, Mondesi, India, LeMahieu, Baddoo, which we share, Gleyber Torres, Verdugo, Nelson Cruz, Eugenio Suarez, Frank Schwindel, and Anthony Santander are the 12 that you're getting compared with my Albies, Trout, Alonso, Franmil, Grandal, Baddoo, Justin Turner, Brendan Rodgers, O'Neill Cruz, Hunter Renfroe, Lane Thomas, and Luke Voigt. Okay. So those are the 2 12 packs. I've got a 50 home run lead.
Okay.
A 6-run deficit. A 64 RBI lead.
Okay.
And then a 44 steal deficit, which is literally just Mondesi. And then we're tied in average.
Okay.
So I just thought with the makeup of these 2 teams, and it's just the bad X, right? It's just one system.
Did you not do the pitching?
Oh, you don't want me to do the pitching.
I absolutely do want you to do the pitching.
Oh, that's not going to be good for you.
Why wouldn't it be good for me?
Because, all right. Well, so let me take off these last 2 pitchers of mine because you don't have enough pitchers yet. So you have 61 wins. I have 58.
Okay.
It's Wheeler, Iglesias, Musgrove, Snell, Trevino, Josiah Gray, Cal Quantrill. To my Clase, Flaherty, Lynn, Scott Barlow, Patrick Sandoval, Huascar Noah, Aaron Savale. So you're +3 in wins. You're +2 in saves, 51 to 49. It's a 4.19 ERA, 128 WHIP for me, 4.02, 125 for you. So you have a decent little lead in ERA. I can't wait to see what your next 2 pitchers are, though, because I actually lowered mine a little bit with my next 2 pitchers. I did, and I was gonna do it twice. Let me see what happens when I do this.
So by in your own experiment, I'm beating you 7 categories to 3 if I counted that correctly. Because I just did I sweep all 5 pitches?
Strikeouts 1270 to 11. Wait, hang on.
I swept all 5 pitching categories.
I have to take the guys out.
I'm winning 7-3 if I counted that correctly.
Oh man, I don't know that you should be touting your chest when we only have 6 pitchers with a 2 save and 2 win lead. But if that's what you want to do,
a win is a win. A dominating win. I'm saying
I'm saying
7-3 is double your score.
No, wow. Again, if you really see that as like a dominating win because you're 2 wins and 2 saves ahead, the beauty is like you have such a scant lead in pitching, and the only thing you're really leading in is stolen bases because of one player who has a 120 game projection, which we know is frivolous. I think the point was the ground that you thought you had to stand on to say my team sucked was hilarious in comparison to looking at this team. Like they're basically,
I mean, I'm dominating you. It's.
But you're not, dude. Like, I mean, let's have a serious talk for once.
No, I don't want to have a serious talk.
I know you don't, because
this isn't a serious discussion.
Yes, it is. No, because you guys are kind of assholes. You guys kind of pissed me off. Like, I also love that Jason, of all people, was talking about risk and laughing about my risk when he has Tyler O'Neill, Dalton Varsho, Jazz Chisholm, and Nathan Eovaldi as his second pitcher. It's a lot of fun to make fun of people when they're not there to defend themselves. So I took it personally. I got pissed about it, which is what you guys wanted, and you guys showed your asses. It was embarrassing. I'm
laughing so hard I'm crying.
I know you're gonna be crying. You draft more pitchers, and then you have no lead, and really the only lead you're gonna have is the stolen bases.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
We're tied in one category too. So I mean, you have such a devastating hole in homers. You'll never catch me. You'll never catch me in ribbies. I'll probably catch you in runs more likely, because I'm a better drafter, especially at the late end, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. This will be a good lead up into our topic. We're tied in average, so we'll see who goes there. You have a 2-win, 2-save lead. Let's talk at the end. And see where you stand. Let's see how that ERA and WHIP lead hold up too as you dip into more pitchers. I've already got Tyler Megill and Zach Plesac for my next 2. I don't know what you're going to do with your next 2.
I have no idea what I'm going to do for my next 2.
I was going to give you Andrew Heaney twice as like a fill-in.
Oh,
let's do that. Let's do that real quick. I do 2 Andrew Heaneys for Tyler Megill and Zach Plesac. That changes things to a 4.22 to 4.27 ERA. Your lead still 0.05. And then the WHIP is even. So
you don't have 2 picks before me. So, I could take either Tyler Megill or Zach Plesac.
Well, no. That's I have Megill and Plesac, but you don't have 8 pitchers yet. Sorry. So we, for those wondering, and yes, I did go way too far with this, but I was comparing the Speakers League with the triple play. I just thought you guys got a little mean spirited. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm all fine with trash talk, but you're like, this is a legitimately bad team.
We'll hug it out in Vegas.
And Jason hitting me with the risk button when he has Eovaldi as his number 2 was really bold of him. But anyway, I took it personally. I'm a little baby.
You okay?
I'm good.
I know we're like live streaming this right now for the Patreon people, but like, do you need to take a quick second, like walk around the room?
You were the one crying, though. I was much better once I realized how much you guys showed your ass, because my team's awesome. Actually, I'm actually really, really happy with this team. What are the numbers? What are the 15 team numbers you need for steals? 15 team fantasy baseball thresholds I want to look at. I know there's a good
I've got it written down. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, give me the 15 team stolen base, because I know I'm light, especially compared to you with Mondesi, but 71, I don't know. I mean, it's getting deep. I'm gonna need to spike some for sure. I have 20 guys.
119.
Okay, so I need to find what's that then? I need to find 50.
Yeah.
I need to find 50 over the course.
Bradley Zimmer, baby.
I mean, that's literally.
There's your 50 right there.
There's my 50 right there. That's literally who I just took, though. I hadn't added him yet, or Barrero. I hadn't added. Not that I think Barrero's a speed guy, but those are the 2 picks that I had. But you didn't have 2 more hitters that I could have added anyway to make the comparison fair. So I just wanted to compare a little bit there and have a little fun. on my end. I just don't think we're that far in teams for you to be talking shit is my biggest
7-3.
It's okay. For one, we were tied in one, so you not
Okay,
even
so
know how to count.
6-3. Still double.
6-3-1.
Still
three
double.
of which you have the scantest lead. But if that's what gets you going, by all means. All right, now
No one remembers like how the score happened. They just remember who won.
No. No one remembers the score in the middle of the game, which is what you're doing right now, thinking that you've got it.
It's not even the middle of the game.
That's true.
It's like preseason.
Yeah. Well, I meant the middle of the draft since we're doing projections. But and of course, these are projections too. We're both drafting guys that we think are going to greatly overproduce their projection. I don't think Akil Baddoo is only going to get 16 steals. Of course, that doesn't help me against you because we share that player. But in general, for my speed, I think he and Albies are over 20. I know Albies had 20 last year and he has 19 for the projections. So that's fine. But I think Baddoo's a mid-20s guy. I think Cruz can be better than the 10. I think Lane Thomas is way higher than the 9 he's projected. But I get why a projection system is not going to spit out a huge number for him because he hasn't done anything yet outside of have the late run. So it's whatever. But we got about an hour, and we're going to talk. We're gold digging here. We're going to talk post 400 picks at every position that we're looking at. Again, it's DC season. This is when you need to get deep, and this isn't all just about like upside too, where it's like just draft these young guys because honestly, that can be a really bad path to trying to be successful because if they're stuck in the minors, they're not doing anything for you. So I think you need to be careful with that. So you're going to see a mix. You're going to see some prospects on these lists for sure, but they're going to be close to the majors. But you're also going to see some like boring guys that you're like, why would I want that guy? Promise you that some of the boring steady Eddies, who'd you just take in your draft at pick 6 billion? Before we came on air.
I took Jason Hayward at 648. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good pick for 648 because he's going to play. You said guaranteed.
Yeah, 500 plate appearances. Like, I mean, they may not be pretty, but in July when you have 7 guys injured and you can't drop them from your roster,
you have a guy is going to play against righties every day at the very least. And he has health issues, but it's 643, so we're not overstating it. We're just saying that some of those guys start to look like oasis. I don't know, but they start to look really appealing late, and we're going to get into some of those. At catcher, we only put one each. Okay, we talked about this guy recently. You put me on this guy here. I actually ended up going out and drafting him. Give us your guy at catcher.
Yeah, MJ Melendez. And really,
all the last pod that we did together, we talked about him, or a couple pods ago?
I think it was a couple pods ago. Okay. But like the real credit goes to Jeff Zimmerman because he talked about him in the mining news. That's and
you passed that on to me, so you get full credit. Cut him out. Steal his content and
screw Jeff.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, Jeff's great mining the news, and honestly, I think I told you that. I was like, why are people taking this guy behind Sal Perez? And give us the numbers. Tell us what he did last year. He was absurd.
Yeah. I mean, he had like 42 home runs between AA and AAA, with like, I believe, 287 average, somewhere around there.
Crazy plate skills, really good plate skills.
And this is a guy who was always kind of projected to like have some power and stuff, but never had tapped into it. And then something changed. I don't know what it was, but something changed, and he went absolutely ape shit last year between AA and AAA, and the team has said like, hey, we know Sal Perez is here, and he's kind of blocked, so we're gonna have him start playing other positions, and we hope that he's gonna be up at the major league level this year, playing other positions. So there's a chance he doesn't make the opening day roster.
Sure,
but
I think that's pretty likely. But where you're paying for him,
as a catcher, 3 or 4, it's an easy gamble when you're having to choose between, like, I don't know, the likes of Jason Castro and Martin Maldonado and guys like that. So
you can go for the and that is a little bit of you can go for the boring guaranteed plate appearances with Jacob Stallings and the guys you named, or you can take a little shot on Melendez. Now, again, don't take too many Melendez shots, or else you're not going to have anybody who can play. But the where I really like Melendez is if I went high on catcher. If I got a stud catcher and then a good mid-tier one, Melendez is going to be on my team. If I got Danny Jansen and James McCann as my 2 starters, I'm not taking MJ Melendez. I think I've kind of told myself at that point, I got to take guys who are in the majors.
Yeah.
In DCs, how many catchers do you get? 3, 4, or 5? I think 5's probably too many.
4.
Okay.
Is
4 is
typically
about the number, right?
Yeah, 4 is what I usually go with. 3, if there's Matt Thames is a guy who is expected to be the backup catcher, and he's only first base eligible right now, but he will add it in season. So, but I usually like to get 4 because catchers get hurt.
Yes, they do.
So you want to make sure so it's not the end of the world if you have to take a 0 at catcher, because some of the bad ones are actually negative value and stuff.
Yeah.
But I prefer not to. So I like to at least try to get at least 2 guys with a set amount of plate appearances, good amount of plate appearances already, and then probably 1 or 2 guys that I think have some upside.
Those incremental runs and ribbies can be key, and that is the one position where a week, here and there, maybe with a 0 is not going to crush you, but you're always trying to avoid zeros at all costs. You're really, really looking to avoid that. So don't sleep on your catchers too much, or else you will be in a bad situation, and you'll just think, I got bad catchers. Who cares? It'll hurt you. It'll definitely, especially in an overall. You can't afford that in an overall competition because the top of the pool is not giving away those at bats. My guy's Jonah Heim, switch hitting catcher in Texas. I like him a bit. He showed a little pop last year, popping 10 homers in 82 games, chipped in 3 steals in 4 tries. It was a 60 WRC plus. So I'm not over here saying Jonah Heim was a beast. I'm actually just kind of looking at the raw skills and thinking maybe we could get mid-teens homers with another 3 to 5 steals as the primary, but not necessarily like a full-time starter. I think he and Trevino, Heim and Trevino, are going to share that job. More of like close to a 50-50 split. But I do like that Heim is a switch hitter with a little punch, and I think he's fine as your 3rd or 4th catcher.
Yeah, I think that's fine as well. From the chat right now, Henry Wilson's asking, what about pairing Melendez with Sal Perez? I think that's a great.
Yeah.
If you draft Sal Perez, you should move up Melendez a couple rounds.
I agree.
Just in case he gets injured and you need him as the backup. So, but yeah, no, I think that's definitely something people should think about.
I absolutely love that. Yep, totally agree. All right, so that's catcher. Let's move on to corner infield. And it's funny here. I didn't look at yours initially. We actually have 3 Royals here. We're really digging in on, and they're all first basemen. So all our guys can't play here, but we'll talk through them. I'll start with Darren Ruff. With the DH getting there, obviously that's going to be big news for him. And definitely an avenue for him to get more PT with your Giants. And I think we even mentioned him in the episode last week, so I won't belabor that too much. But he's dual eligible, infield, outfield at first and outfield. Pick 423 since over the last month. We just did 115 to 215 in draft champions only, if you want to see the ADPs that we're looking at here. And Darren Ruff is 423. And so I just think he's going to hit for pop. If he can just repeat last year, that would be golden. I don't need him to really do more than that. So I like Darren Ruff. Lewin Diaz, not Lewin Diaz. We talked about him, and we got a correction. Appreciate that. It's Lewin Diaz for the Marlins. Again, discussed him a little bit, so I don't want to go over, rehashing too much. But then I'll get to my Royal, and then we can lead into your 2 Royals, and then go back to your other guys. Do you know who Vinny Pasquantino is?
I've heard the name a few times recently.
Pardon me.
But I know very little to nothing about him.
Yeah, I wish I could give credit. I did not. Oh, the Alex Chamberlain. Short list. Peripheral prospect short list hitters. He had another guy that you're going to talk about in the outfield on his most recent list. This was from late October. But he also had Vinny Pasquantino on there. This dude dominated last year in the minors. Now he's a little bit of an older guy for his levels. 23-year-old crushing at high A and double A. You have to put it in context for sure. But he was awesome. Near a 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio with 24 homers and 84 ribbies in 116 games with 6 steals chipped in. Like I said, a near 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio is also amazing. I was just super impressed with what I saw when I looked at the stat line here. The issue, of course, is where can he play? But he's huge, 6'4", 245. I just love that he has kind of the plate skills to go with the raw power. And I think if he gets his chance, Vinny Pasquantino could be really fun. I actually wrote him up for Patreon as like a name to know kind of guy. And again, I know he's going to be fighting with the veteran and the young guy that you're going to mention at first base from the Royals, but I like him.
Yeah, I know nothing about him.
He's your Chas McCormick this year when we learned about Chas McCormick.
I have to do some digging before he's an interesting name. I'm looking at the numbers here on Fangraphs because I'm a company man. I really know absolutely nothing about him. I think the hard part is the other two guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got, a premier prospect in Nick Prado, who should be up pretty quickly this year. Carlos Santana still under contract. Where does he play? Can he play another position? Can he move into the outfield? Like that's, maybe do the Royals end up trading a guy like Carlos Santana, who's under a affordable contract, can still take a walk and hit for power? And maybe they say, hey, let's kind of continue this reload that we're doing right now, get rid of the old guy and bring up Pascatella. So, or whatever his name is.
Pasquantino. Yeah. Again, it's a deep one. It's literally one of your last 2 or 3 picks, I think. I don't think you have to go any higher than that in the DC if you're interested in Vinny Pasquantino. If anything, maybe just put him on your watch list for deeper leagues. And see what happens with that situation over there in KC, because I agree with you on the Santana and Prado interest as well. I think Santana, I could see Santana rebounding for like 25 homers and I wouldn't even blink. I know last year did not go well. It was very bad for him. He still went 19-69 with 2 steals, LOL, but a near 1-1 strikeout to walk. Like, everything was still there, except the power. He dropped down to a 127 ISO. He is 36, so maybe he doesn't recover it. But I don't know. I can't quit Carlos Santana fully. He's just been too good to me over the years. And so I like that call out. You had a couple other guys at first, including one that I like and one that I've been in before, so I can't hate you for him, but I'm
assuming the one that you've been in before that you can't go back to is Keston Hiura.
You know damn well who it is. Yes, sir.
I mean, this was a guy who was like a top 50 pick like 2 seasons ago. Like,
yep,
and
this
now
price makes it viable. Yep.
And supposedly he has changed his swing mechanics, gotten rid of the toe tap.
That's right. That's right. And then I think you brought that up last episode. I said, and then get rid of the tree trunk too that he uses as a bat.
That's right.
And that combo could definitely work. So yeah, as much as I can't quit him, or as much as I want to quit him, I can't really, and I'll probably get a share.
I mean, one. It's worth a gamble post 400. So the other guy's Bobby Bradley.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, they've already, the Guardians have already said that they're going to let him be the everyday starter at first base to start the season. So he's got that kind of locked down. He's going to strike out. That is just who he is.
No doubt. Bad batting average incoming.
He also could hit 40 or 50 home runs. He's got legitimate 50 home run power, depending on how much contact he makes and how much playing time he gets. If he's playing full time, like they say, this is Bobby Dahlbeck where Bobby Dahlbeck should be priced.
This is the right Bobby first baseman.
Yeah, I'd much rather have Bobby Bradley than Bobby Dahlbeck.
I would,
considering the price difference.
I think they are pretty much the same player. And the changes in October or in August with Coach Kyle Schwarber. Look, that was a little snarkier than I wanted to be. I'm not. I look at things like that too, and
we know John is listening right now because he likes the rebuttal pods. So.
I love the rebuttal pods. He got another one on Edman. I appreciate that about maybe him moving down the lineup again. I still think he's going to be given a shot, but if he has a low 300s OBP, he might move down. But yeah, Bradley, Keston Hiura, Carlos Santana, Nick Prado for you, Darren Ruff, Lewin Diaz, and Vinny Pasquantino for me at corner infield. We didn't name any third baseman there just by accident, I guess. Did you do corner or did you accidentally just do first?
No, I went by corner. Third
I
base
did corner too. That's the thing. I'll give one Tyler Wade for cheap speed. And we talked about him recently. So
Jake Berger.
Oh, I was actually going to put him. I'm glad you said him. I forgot him.
So
give us some Jake Berger. Well, by the way, with these names, we need to be saying the teams because some people aren't going to know what teams these are on. So let me just review them real quick. Bobby Bradley, Cleveland. Keston here, you guys know that one, Milwaukee. Carlos Santana, Nick Prado, and Vinny Pasquantino are KC. Lewin Diaz is Miami. Darren Ruff is San Francisco. Tyler Wade is the Angels now. And Jake Berger is the White Sox. Give us some thoughts on Jake Berger, and we'll go to middle infield.
Yeah, so Jake Berger was a former first-round pick by the White Sox. While in the minor leagues, I think he tore one Achilles and then tore the other. I think that's what it was. It was something insane like that, where he got, he had a massive injury that, made him miss a year. And then
so that's why he doesn't have stats from he missed 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah. So he missed all of one season, came back, and before the even season came, I believe tore his other Achilles, or maybe it was ACL or something like that. But I mean, this is a legit power bat with decent contact skills. The problem is, where is he going to play? Could they move Moncada back to second base to let Berger play at third? Who knows? But I believe Berger made it to the majors last year, so
yes, he did.
He's ready. He's ready to go.
He's on the 40-man. By the way, they put Berger with a 3B/2B on the.
Okay, so maybe he played some second base in the minor leagues. In preparation. They could easily move Lurie Garcia out into the outfield. Let Berger
he plays
come
literally
in.
Anywhere.
Yeah. So, I like Berger a lot, especially considering how late he's going.
And like I said, he hit the cutting room floor for me. I saw his name and I meant to go back. So I'm so glad you brought Jake Berger up for the White Sox. Let me see if this guy's ADP is this late, because he's on it. I'll just say Gavin Sheets, same team, same issues with playing time. He's UT only this year, but I'll include him here in the corner because he does play first base if he ever plays the field, but he is corner only. So Berger and Sheets, they're kind of fighting for each other's PT.
How can I forget my boy Carter Kieboom? Going after pick 400. He's going pick 450.
How dare you?
He's a starting third baseman. He's going to play every day in Washington. There's no reason he should be going that late. Give me all the shares of Kieboom.
I already have some Kieboom, so he's late there. He's post hype, and I think he's gonna, he's got playing time opportunity as well, and that's why I take him. So there's a few third basemen there mixed in, because I noticed that we had done all first base, and you do have Tyler Wade at your middle infield, but he plays a bunch of spots, so that's why he could also be for third base. Let's go to the middle infield now, and we'll go quickly on Paul DeJong. You literally just got to talk about him last time.
We just talked about him, so I'm not even. I mean, he's the starting shortstop. They've already kind of committed to him to start the season, so. He shouldn't be going as late as he is. Post 400, it's ridiculous.
He'll probably start moving up. And you've highlighted Cole Tucker as a power speed guy who can do a lot that you're really interested in. We just talked about Tyler Wade. We've talked about Rougned Odor. Jason's been big on him. I don't think Jason's changing his opinion on the park movement. First off, because Odor's a lefty, so it's not going to affect him as much. So talk to us about La Stella and Gorman, because that's those two sides of old guy who's just going to play when healthy and be good in La Stella, and Gorman, up and comer, who has moved to second base to facilitate, a way to get to the majors because of Arenado's presence. So give us some thoughts on La Stella in San Francisco and Gorman in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, La Stella is going to lead off versus righties when he's healthy.
La Stella.
The hard part is, how often will he be healthy, and can you afford to put a guy who's going to platoon on your roster? So obviously, we're talking about post 400. A lot of these guys are going to be platoon bats, or you're just even hoping for them to become a platoon bat. So,
exactly.
When you're talking about one of the teams was one of the best teams in baseball last year, in the Giants, and now you're going to lead off, more than half the time. He could be a really sneaky runs guy for the Giants. There's not a ton of power there. Maybe 20 in a full season. There's not really any speed. But he could definitely rack up a ton of runs.
I'll take that pop, though, because, before he had his explosion in 2019, which I know was definitely rabbit ball infused and some LA Park changes infused. Those were a double combo there for La Stella. But I think he's shown since then that he is still better than he was previously at power. He used to be total punch and Judy, where you're looking for some batting average and a few runs. Since 2019, in 21 and 22, he has 131 games with 12 homers. So like you said, it could approach 20 in a full season. You're paying for the average, the flexibility, and the runs, which are things I like from LaStella. So I can't quit him. I wish he wouldn't have gotten hurt in that breakout season. He broke his leg. I think he fouled the ball off his leg. I don't know that he was just going to double his numbers because he played 80 games. So you can do the easy 16 times 2. It doesn't work that way, but he was probably going to hit mid-20s homers that year with a good batting average. And that would have been really fun for LaStella. I felt terrible that he lost his breakout season to an injury.
Do keep in mind though that he did get Achilles surgery in the offseason.
Health is
supposedly minor-ish.
Okay.
But something we don't have any updates. So.
And minor surgery is always for when it's on somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
Because when it's surgery on me, it ain't minor.
Nope.
They're cutting me open, dude.
Yeah.
So, I know we are playful with that, but it's true. Like, let's not diminish. It's surgery. No matter what, routine operations, it's always you always have to be mindful of it at the very least. And then give us some thoughts on Gorman. I mentioned how he moved to second base because they're like, hey, this Nolan Arenado guy's pretty decent. You're not going to find any time there. Does Gorman possibly come up and then does he threaten my boy Edman? I don't know if John mentioned this on his counterpod. Pardon me if he did, because he did talk Edman on 2 different ones. But that could be an avenue, and that is some concern that I have. If Edman does flounder and has like a sub 300 OBP for like the first month, does Gorman come up, kind of take a bunch of his playing time, and then Edman's just spotting in a few times a week type deal? So what do you think about Gorman?
I think that Gorman will come up and be like I think he's going to be a full-time player. I don't think it's going to be the cost of Edman. I think it'd be cost of Sosa. I think Sosa then becomes kind of the super utility guy.
Okay, good.
Or, if a guy like Paul DeYoung fails, right? Then
true. He's not guaranteed, even though we both like him.
There's another number of avenues, but I think ultimately Gorman will be up at the beginning of the season. He has got really good contact skills and a ton of power in that bat. He is major league ready right now. They'll do the service time thing because that doesn't seem like it's going to be changing in the CBA. So he'll probably be up end of April and then come up and just be smacking the cover off the ball. So definitely a guy I want on in my DCs late.
This is the kind of prospect you can take a chance on with Nolan Gorman in San Francisco, or in St. Louis, excuse me, because he just finished a hot 2-level season at double and high A with 25 homers, 75 ribs, a quality slash line, 279, 333, 481, even chipped in 7 steals. And that was in 119 games. So he didn't even play a full season. He did go to the fall league, played a little bit. My pick's coming up, or my pick is up. And then, played a few games. Did he get hurt in fall league, or did they just see enough after 6 games?
I haven't seen anything about
I don't remember what happened to Nolan Gorman in fall league and why he only played 6 games there. But anyway, I like him. And is he on the 40-man? That's always key too with prospects. If they're on the 40-man, they are markedly better pick.
He is not on the 40-man.
Okay, so it doesn't rule them out, but it absolutely elevates a guy who's already on the 40-man because they don't require an extra move to get called up. All right, so those are your middle infielders. Mine run the gamut as well. I start with an oldie, then I go with a couple of boring guys in the middle, and then a prospect. Robinson Cano. Again, we talked about him on the DH pod. Go listen to that. But if he's healthy, he's going to play. Plain and simple. And he's still Robinson Cano. And frankly, he's probably cycling back on because they're not testing right now. And I'm not saying that to be slanderous or anything, but he's been caught twice. So he doesn't get any trust from me. Okay. I don't think I have to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point. The simple fact is he may be cycling on. He was great the last time we saw him, the 49 games he played in 2020. He was awesome. I know he'll be 39 this year, but it's Robinson Cano. This guy is Robinson Cano a Hall of Famer?
No. Not with multiple PD tests.
Oh yeah. Oh, but are his stats? Let's. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. I think he is, but I think he would have been if not for because right he popped positive
twice,
right?
Yeah. It was once with Seattle and then this one.
There's no coming back from that. If Barry Bonds can't get in, then you're not getting in at all. But stat wise, I think he is. I'd have to look at the Jaws comparison, but
he's 7th. He's 7th in Jaws. Pardon me, I'm refilling my water here.
As long as people don't think you're actually live streaming.
No, I'm not peeing.
Yeah. Don't do that.
That would be absolutely ridiculous. So yeah,
mute your mic if you're going to do that.
Exactly. Cano, easy peasy. Again, we talked about him. Zach Mckinstry, guy I've been hyped on since last year. I don't know if he's necessarily good. I do like him. I'm a sucker for these kinds of guys. I mean, you just heard me talk up Tommy Edman. I love these like middle of the roster type guys who I think can extract the best of themselves. He needs to bring down the strikeout rate, though. I didn't realize until I was doing some review. I think it was last month. I was like, dang, he really did strike out a lot. 29%. At the major league level, but only an 11% swinging strike rate, which tells me he can kind of bring that down back into the high teens, low 20s where he was in the minor leagues. And he's not going to be a special player regardless, but he can be one of those glue guys that I love in DC. So I still have some love for Zach Mckinstry and the Dodgers. And then Luis Rengifo. And, you know, this is a guy that I still think we haven't really seen enough of yet to get a good idea on where Rengifo is. Now, your main concern might be, didn't Tyler Wade just take his job? To which I would say, kind of. I understand that. I do understand that. But I would also say that Tyler Wade is not some locked-in stud. Frankly, neither is David Fletcher. And we know Rendon's health is not exactly wonderful. Neither is Fish Boys. Right. So it's like mixing some health with some, you know, a Tyler Wade guy who is not, you know, blocking anybody necessarily. And I think Rengifo could find his way back into the mix. I would just like to see him get an unencumbered shot. We'll see if that happens this year. But this is a guy who is on the 40-man. So even if he does start in the minors, he has the easy path up because they don't have to do an extra move. He had 8 homers and stole 13 bases in 53 AAA games last year. Came up to the majors, hit 6 homers with a steal in 54 games with a 50 WRC plus. So he struggled quite a bit. But I'm keeping Rengifo on my radar for the late rounds. And then the one prospect is out in Arizona, Geraldo Perdomo.
Love Perdomo. That's a great call.
I'm excited about him. I'm going to have another prospect of theirs coming up to talk about. But I think Perdomo, he got a little taste last year. So again, I'll reiterate, on the 40-man, which is excellent. Switch hitting middle infielder. Who's blocking anybody there, right? You know, outside of Ketel Marte and Dalton Varsho, Carson Kelly, and Pavin Smith, who's probably their best player. Nobody's I just want to see how much you were paying attention to me. I don't know if did you hear what I just said about Pavin Smith?
I heard. I was ignoring you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I think
probably the best player. Yeah. No.
I think Marte, Varsho, and Kelly are the only 3 locked positions. And understandably, one of those positions, second base where Marte plays, is one of Perdomo's, but I think he can move around enough to where shortstop is his primary position. And Nick Ahmed is an elite defender, but if Perdomo's bat's good enough, he can push Ahmed there. And he's only 21. They gave him a little taste to reward him for a very good season, or a solid season. It wasn't that good. Pardon me. I thought he was better at Double-A. He was fine. He's probably not ready. So I don't pick Perdomo in a round that starts with anything but a 4. And I don't mean round 4, I mean 40 something, because he could be one of those ones you're waiting on.
But if you have, told me to take him at pick 60.
I was just listening to you, dude. Yeah. You won a main event last year, so I thought you knew what you were doing, dude. I got him with my 4th pick. No, Perdomo's a 40 rounds something type of pick, and do it with you when you have some stability, because he is one of those guys that could sit down in the minors for the most of the year and hurt you. But there's also a path where he comes up and he could be a sneaky double for Arizona. So that's Geraldo Perdomo for me. Geraldo, excuse me. Anybody else middle infield? Or are we good to go to the outfield?
I think we're good to go to the outfield.
All right, outfield. First things first, Bradley Zimmer. You're going to keep hitting that drum. We're both fans of him. He's definitely one of your big guys, though. I just drafted him again, so I'm fully with you on that. You're going to get no dispute from me, but folks know how you feel about him. Then you go over to Kyle Isbell. Talk to us a bit about Kyle Isbell actually bring in Edward Olivares with him, since they're going to be fighting each other a little bit. And that's my only concern for either is the other. I like both.
Yeah, because they're like they're natural platoon partners,
right?
Which that makes a lot of sense.
That hurts for Olivares though, because he's short side then.
And I mean, one of the things we haven't discussed is like the new CBA offer, which was complete garbage. included a limit on how many times the Royals can send Edward
You had a
Olivares
great
down in the season.
You had a great riff on that. Yeah, that was funny.
So the new rule will be you can only send someone down 5 times, which means Edward Olivares actually can't be sent down 34 times.
So he would have only been up for 1 month in the season because they got those 5 out in June, I think.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was so bad, man. Like that, it got to a point where the meme wasn't even funny because like they were literally setting this guy up for failure. But start with Isbell here because he would be the strong side. He showed a little speed. He is a legit prospect. Third round picks. I think he's been a top 100 guy, or do I have that wrong? Maybe not.
That sounds about right.
But like he's got some skills. Do you think he can make an impact? And do you like him because of the speed more so than anything else, or do you like the whole combination of skills?
Yeah, he's more of a sum of all parts kind of guy as opposed to he's not a burner. He doesn't have a ton of power, especially in that park. But he's got a really good he's a lot like his teammate Andrew Benintendi in a way where like he's got a pretty good contact skill, enough power that plays and enough speed. I think he went like 15-22 in AAA.
AAA, yep.
So, in
105 games.
Yeah. Now, I don't expect him to be able to do that in Kauffman and at the major league level, but I think he's a guy who could potentially go 15-15.
And he delivered a 158 ISO, Kyle Isbell did, despite a 4% homer to fly ball. So he got super unlucky on the ball leaving the park in his 83 plate appearances. We're parsing a small sample. And he still had like an okay power. Like 158 ISO is not good, but you're just looking for chip in power and maybe some game-changing speed there if he gets 15 plus. So I think, is this comp fair, or maybe I have it wrong on how you see Zimmer? Is this a better plate skills Zimmer?
He's definitely not as fast as Zimmer.
Okay.
And I honestly don't think he has the power that Zimmer has.
Okay, so bad comp.
So, but I think
they're both baseball players though, so I actually kind of was right.
So he's almost in some ways like the opposite of Zimmer in terms of like I can see a dream season in when Zimmer goes 20-30, right?
Yes.
All the contact stuff, comes together. But there's also a likely scenario that Zimmer spends more time in the minor leagues than in the majors. I think Isbell is kind of the flip side of that. I think that Isbell is going to make plenty of contact. The question is, I don't think he has. I think he has got a cap ceiling.
Okay.
I think a 2020 ceiling is probably not attainable for Kyle Isbell.
Okay,
I think he's much more likely to be like a 12 guy.
Okay, but a firm double after pick 400 is why we like Kyle Isbell, because I agree with you on him. You put him on your list, and some might be thinking in their head right now saying 28% strikeout rate. You're talking about this guy's contact. I see Kyle Isbell to Mckinstry, wherein I look at the 11% swinging strike rate, which is about average, and I say that his strikeout rate absolutely has room to come down to a much more manageable level. So I like Isbell. And then Olivares, again, we've talked him to death. We both like him. He needs playing time. He needs a chance. He needs a legitimate chance, not the BS that they sent him on. Another guy who we just talked about in relation to Thames was Seth Brown. So obviously they're fighting. Harold Ramirez, you included. He would have been on my list too, but we're not doubling up on everything. We love him. Stephen Kwan. We briefly mentioned, I think I made a joke about him the other day, but I don't know if we've gotten into his skills. He's become a pop-up name that people are interested in. Give us some thoughts on Stephen Kwan for the Guardians and what he could actually do this year.
Yeah, Kwan is he's a hit tool first guy. So like he's gonna hit for contact, he's not gonna hit for power.
Hit tool only?
Yeah, he's a little bit of speed there too.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but the Guardians have nobody in that outfield.
It's unbelievable, dude.
And so I think Kwan has a really good chance of being up early. Maybe he can hit for decent batting average, like 260, 270 and steal 15 bases. Which if you're looking for speed late, I think it's a decent dart to throw.
Yeah, and I'll use that. I'll use Stephen Kwan in the Guardians outfield to bring up Josh Nagler, who again we have
Mhm.
discussed. We didn't want to gloss over the guys that we've discussed because then people will be like, "Are they off them?" So that's why we're bringing up some of these repeat names, but we're not going to deep
Yeah.
dive them because you guys have heard us go to town on that.
I think Naylor just got okayed in the last couple weeks to start hitting again
That's good. That's
and to
good. And
resume full baseball activities. So
it applies much more to somebody like DeGrom and Acuna, but if there are any delays, it greatly helps anybody who's hurt. They just start inching up the board. We get a month and they say opening day is now May 1st. Acuna becomes like a top 5 pick, I'm pretty sure. So does DeGrom probably. But at the back end, guys like Naylor and them probably don't see their ADP skyrocket, but their outlooks get a lot better because they're not going to miss as big of a percentage. And I don't even know if he's necessarily guaranteed to miss time coming into the year. So I still like Josh Naylor. He's a different profile than Kwan, but the same reason is that they don't have anybody. So Zimmer, Kwan, and Naylor, we recommend all three. We're just trying to figure out that Cleveland outfield. And a former guy they had, Harold Ramirez, we did talk about recently with the Cubs. We both love Harold Ramirez. Nick Gordon. Now, I don't know if you read my my Minnesota roster review, but I kind of had him as a hot take for somebody who could volume his way to a sneaky double-double. I don't even know that the slash line would be that great, but I just think he's somebody because he can play infield, outfield. My hot take was that Nick Gordon has a 2020 season out of nowhere, like a Jonathan VR-esque sort of the fact that he just keeps playing. He has some pop. He has some speed. He played outfield, second, and short last year, 45, 17, and 14 games respectively. And I even said in the article, I said it could come with a sub 100 WRC plus, but if they just put him out there and he's more of like a 93 WRC plus, that's enough to keep playing time if nobody else is chasing him. So I liked your Nick Gordon call. Give us some extra thoughts on how you feel about Nick Gordon.
Yeah, I don't know that he's got enough power to hit 20 home runs.
You don't have enough power to hit. Okay, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I definitely do not have enough power to hit 20 home runs, but
Right.
I can look the part.
You look the part more than him as a 20 homer hitter.
Yeah.
I will agree with you on that. He's got more power than Brother D, but not a lot of power.
Agreed. Yeah, he does not have. He's got more power than D, but not nearly as much speed as D.
Correct.
I definitely think he could steal 20 bases though if he found his way into pretty regular playing time. It's just going to be difficult in Minnesota. They've just got a lot of moving parts. I think they look at him as kind of a super utility guy. Now, injuries can always change that, right?
Because they have tons of that. Concern.
Donaldson, Buxton, Kirilloff, Brent Rooker, like all these guys have been injured.
Yep.
So I think there potentially is paths to playing time. They're just a lot more difficult to see at the start of the season when everybody's healthy. So
exactly. But Nick Gordon on Minnesota could give you a sneaky double-double. The 2020 was a super hot take. Like that's like crazy.
I think he's more like a 5 or 7 homer guy with like 17 stolen bases.
He hit 4 and 73. I think he can go double-double. I think double-doubles there. I agree with your pushback on 20 because again, that's not my projection. That was the hot take. But I think double-doubles there. I think 10, 20 is probably where I could very realistically see Nick Gordon going with, like I said, with the 2020 being like the pipe dream if he took. And the only reason I did that was because he was given a 50 raw, but he only has a 30 game power. So my thinking there was if he taps into that a little bit.
He's also got like a 25% fly ball percentage.
So he keeps the ball down a lot. Okay.
He's much more level swinging guy.
I don't want to get bogged down on the power because that's not the draw here. The draw is some speed and some playing time as a super util. So I like your Nick Gordon call out. And then I have a crusty vet, up and coming prospect. Crusty vet, you're gonna have to take me away kicking and screaming to get me to go away.
I'm shocked. By this.
Yeah, I know. Just absolute. Wow. Whoa, Paul Sporer's interested in Aaron Hicks. That's new. That's different. But again, locked in deal. Brett Gardner gone
for now.
I know. For now, the wrist looking like it was on track. Did he end up playing winter ball? Because the last update that we had gotten was that he would be cleared to play winter ball, but I don't know if he did. I'm taking a look at that here in just 1 second on Aaron Hicks. But the bottom line is we'll know more as he did end up playing winter ball and he was fine. 265, 321, 408 for 12 games, 53 plate appearances down in the Dominican Winter League. I can't quit Aaron Hicks. Health is obviously a major deterrent on him, but it's all completely baked into the price. Obviously, he's dirt cheap. He's still with the Yankees. Aaron Hicks can't quit him. The other guy in Arizona, another prospect, Alec Thomas. And I do like him even better than Perdomo. The Perdomo one just came up sooner because we talked middle infield first. But Alec Thomas is somebody that I believe has a great chance to come up and make some noise this year in Arizona. He's a strong outfield prospect who had a 2-level season at Double and AAA. He was excellent at both, got better at AAA, went from a 134 WRC plus to 168, albeit in about half the sample, which does make it easier. He can be a power speed guy if they don't mind giving him sort of a green light, but maybe teaching him when to pick, because he had 13 steals last year, but he was caught 9 times. And it's like, okay, so some teams might say you're a little bit of a wild horse, we got to rein you in, but the speed is definitely there for Alec Thomas to make an impact. Power speed capabilities are there. He's going to be knocking on the door. I think 5 months of Alec Thomas could be really, really strong. And I don't think that anybody in that outfield, the outfield isn't so set that they're blocking him from there. And I'll even include my boy Pavin Smith. If Alec Thomas is killing it at AAA, he can take Pavin Smith's job. But David Peralta's health, Dalton Varsho, I like Dalton Varsho and he's in, but he can also play some catcher. He can move around. So I think there are going to be avenues for Thomas to get in, probably Peralta the most. But what do you think of Alec Thomas and Aaron Hicks?
I mean, Aaron Hicks just needs health, man. Aaron Hicks is the original Byron Buxton.
Yes, he is.
So
same first team too, Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, and he was the number 1 prospect in baseball at one point. Injuries, man. Injuries has just wrecked his career. If you believe that love cures all, he got married this offseason.
Congratulations. Buxton or Hicks?
Hicks did.
Okay, okay.
I do not know about Byron Buxton's marital status at the moment.
I think Chris Liss was trying to wife him up.
Yeah, I can look into that, especially for Chris.
Yeah.
And
then Alec Thomas, how do you feel?
I like Alec Thomas a lot. I think he's got a lot more floor than he's got ceiling. He's kind of similar to Kyle Isbell. But I think the situation there is less crowded than it is in Kansas City for Isbell. So, I mean, he's obviously, they're going to play the game too, right? They're going to send him back down and work on his defense or whatever.
Or his base stealing decisions.
Mm-hmm. So, and then, I think he could be Peralta's a guy David Peralta's a guy that they could easily trade, and
they could DH him, right? Like we've given the job to Seth Beer, and I do like him. This is not a retraction of my Seth Beer interest, but we don't know he's going to be guaranteed to be good at the majors. Like, what if he flops and then you go Peralta DH?
He's going to be good. He's going to be great.
I mean, I like him, dude. Dude can hit, but
you could also see them. Who's their first baseman? Why am I
Christian Walker?
They could trade Christian Walker.
Yep.
And move Pavin back to first base. So
correct.
There's a lot of different ways in which Thomas could find a full-time role. I think once he's up, he's playing full-time, and I think he is. Again, one of these guys that sum of all parts kind of guy. Probably in 600 plate appearance, you're looking at a guy who could be like 270, probably 15, 20, something like that.
I would love that.
So it just depends kind of at what point he gets called up.
Exactly. And I think it'll be at least a month. He's 21 or going to be age 22 for Alec Thomas in Arizona. Be smart. Again, this is a late pick. All these are, so that's built in. I don't have to keep reiterating that, but just keep that in mind that we are advocating for these guys within reason, knowing that the price discount. I mean, he's picked 545 for Alec Thomas, with Yadiel Hernandez and Justin Upton. You know the deal here. You're buying some risk, and again, keep your risk profile smart. Don't put Alec Thomas with Kyle Isbell, with Nick Prado, with who's another prospect, with Nolan Gorman. Don't do that. You're going to have nobody to play by May. But if you've got a bunch of Carlos Santanas and even Aaron Hicks, so he still has risk because of his health. But if you got like Carlos Santana and Robinson Cano and Paul DeYoung, then you get to do a little bit of prospecting with Alec Thomas and them. So those are the hitters. Bradley Zimmer, Carlos Bell, Edward Oliveira, Seth Brown, Stephen Kwan, Nick Gordon, Harold Ramirez. For Justin in the outfield, Aaron Hicks, Alec Thomas, Josh Nagler, and I include Harold Ramirez for myself as well, and Nick Gordon, I guess, in the outfield for me. Let's go out to pitching. Let's talk about some starting pitchers. Now, you have talked about Patrick Corbin before. Nobody's going to be surprised to see that. That's almost Aaron Hicks for me level. But one thing that we were talking about coming into the offline was like the difference between his 5.82 ERA and being a respectable fantasy innings eater is not as far as I think a lot of us want to believe. Right. And he allowed 37 homers, which was a National League high. He allowed 111 earned runs, which was a baseball high. And I'm not here to tell you that anything in Patrick Corbin's bottom line is good. But as you're going to bring up when I pass it to you, he finished strong. And again, I just don't think that the path from 582 to say 382 is that difficult for somebody who's proven it time and time again. No, now I'm picking in both leagues. And he's only going to be age 32. So I think Corbin has been discarded. And what I think it is that a lot of times in fantasy, if we get that license, what we feel is license to discard somebody, we want to do it right away just to pare down the board. So Patrick Corbin, 466 in 2020, 582 last year. He sucks. He's dead. But I just don't think that's the right way to look at it. Because first off, I don't put a lot of stock in 20 regardless. But also I look at one down season of 2021, again, which he finished strong. And you're going to give us the numbers on that in a moment. And I just think that there's a path to rebounding. So just give us the quick path and then we'll move on from Corbin because we have talked about him, and give us those numbers that he finished strong with.
Yeah, I mean, in the final month of the season, I think I mentioned this on Sunday's pod as well. 3.82 ERA in the final month of the season. Strikeouts were there. The velocity came back in the last 2 months of the season, where he's throwing 93, 94. And so yeah, is it a gamble? Absolutely. But we're talking about a guy who was formerly like a top 10, top 15 pitcher in fantasy.
Used to go crazy for him.
Yeah.
He used to go crazy for him, dude.
So taking a shot at pick 400, I'll throw that dart every time. So
absolutely. Why don't you drive us through the rest of your starters here and highlight the ones that you want to give an extra shine to, because you got a good handful here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of guys, and I mean, and there are even guys on your list that I like. I've talked about Nick Martinez a lot. I talked about Cole Irvin on Sunday.
Nick Martinez coming from San Diego, or going to San Diego, coming from overseas. Cole Irvin's still with Oakland. Continue.
I talked about Michael Lorenzen on Sunday as well. I love
Michael Lorenzen too with the Angels now.
And he's a guy that I hated last year, but he's nothing. He's like so affordable right now. You take a guaranteed role in that Angels bullpen or in the Angels rotation. So I'll take that shot. Adrian Hauser was quietly really, really good last year, and especially really, really good in the second half.
I'm surprised he's that cheap.
Nobody's giving him any credit. I think it's the lack of strikeouts.
It is. It absolutely is.
But like, if you just need innings, he's going to give you innings, and they're probably going to be pretty quality innings. So
I like
on a good
Hauser.
team where you can probably steal some wins. So Hauser, I think, is really just a guy. I'm not done with Daniel Lynch.
Nor should anybody be. Yeah,
he's too young. He's got too much of a prospect pedigree. Plays in Kaufman in that AL Central. Like there's still plenty to like there. Did you see the video of Mitch Keller the other day?
I did. We are going so bananas over the smallest things, and I love it. It's my favorite time of the year. The
brand new mechanics.
Garver slider. I know.
Brand new mechanics. He's thrown 101. Man, I'm going to fall for this again.
And I think I will too. The one thing we have to, like, it's fun to meme on those in the best shape of their life thing, but they're not all bunk. Not all of those are like, just fluff pieces. A lot of times guys are actually, remember when Schwarber was best shape of his life? But then he actually was, and he was like,
well, and I was listening to a new pod the other day with Joe Gentile and Ryan Venancio called The Arm Barn, which is an 80 grade name, by the way. 80
it
grade
really
name.
Is.
Really, really good name. Definitely go check those guys out over there. But they were talking about, like, if this time last year we had been talking, if someone had said, well, Carlos Rodon's looking really, really good, most people would have laughed at us, right?
Yep.
And then he goes out and
That's what I'm
does what he
saying.
does. So
Yes.
we don't want to ignore a guy throwing 101 in February
It's
with
always
new
within
mechanics.
right? You don't move him up to your 60th starter, right? But what's his ADP for Mitch Keller? And he's still with
It's like
Pittsburgh.
580 something.
So, like, even if it jumps 200, which I don't think it will, but even if it jumped 200 picks, would that really be the end of the world?
No, absolutely
Like, you
not.
could even still pay 380.
Yeah, he's paying. He's going 528 in the last month.
So, so if it went to if it went to 328, that would be around Javier. That would be a little too high, but that's an extreme. It's not going to move 200 picks. If it moves 150 picks, like, there's plenty of wiggle room here. So I know it's fun to like meme on it and be like, this is a 30-second video and everyone's losing their mind. Well, we're excited about it, but we're not losing our mind. No one's taking him in like the 26th round or anything.
528 is the 35th round.
That's bananas.
And that's just a DC. Like, you take him as your last pick in your regular Fab League. And if he doesn't work out, you'll probably know pretty quickly.
He's the second cut. Yeah, first or second cut. No, I agree. I agree. So Mitch Keller, you always be careful with videos like that, but I think you should still pay attention to them at the very least. And then
I also
Ronaldo Lopez and Vladimir Gutierrez. Give us some thoughts on them.
Gutierrez, I think he's going to be locked in that rotation, especially if the Reds start selling some of those pieces in that rotation. He's a risky guy, but I think he's going to pitch probably as long as he's healthy all year in that Reds rotation. He's a 2-pitch guy in a really bad park, so it might get gross, but it's like I said, innings late. I'll take the gamble on it, and then Ronaldo Lopez is a guy I've always kind of crapped on.
I know, because I've loved him. Yeah.
Just because like the
turntables have turned.
He's just so cheap, and he finished this year really, really strongly last year.
You're telling me?
Yeah, I mean, so like, I don't know that he's in the rotation to start the year because they've got such a good starting 5 already. But I mean, you've got guys with injury issues. Keuchel was awful. After the sticky stuff it was taken away. Like, there's some paths into that rotation for Ronaldo Lopez, or maybe he's just a really, really effective long reliever.
That's what I was going to
steal some wins.
He doesn't even have to necessarily get into the rotation. Maybe he's this year's Brent Suter. It's
who's on my relief pitcher.
And like Brent Suter had 12 wins last year, an excellent ratio, or excellent ERA, mediocre whip, 307 ERA, 131 whip, but 69 strikeouts was very nice, in 73 1/3 with those 12 wins, threw in a chip in save. So I think Raylo could be somebody who's going to be in those leveraged spots. He finally cut the walks down, had a 6% mark last year to go with a 25% strikeout rate. Homers were still too high, but I think this was a step forward in his control. The next step is getting the command, and I like Ethan Katz as the pitching coach over there with the White Sox. So I can't quit my boy Raylo as well. So when you put that there, I wasn't sure if you were trolling me or if you were serious. So now that I hear that it's serious, it makes me happy.
No, yeah, I mean, because I saw him pitch live in San Francisco in his rookie year when he was with Washington, and the first thing I said was like, wow, this is a really live arm, but this is like a 3-inning bullpen guy.
Yes.
And
you said that a decade ago.
Yeah. And so that was 2016. So like,
not quite a decade.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if he can be a 3-4 inning guy, like, that's going to have some value if he's like coming in and cleaning up games and stuff. So especially in a DC going that late. And then there's always the chance that someone gets hurt, someone isn't performing, and he moves into the rotation and becomes something a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we saw the reclamation of Carlos Rodon, and while Lopez, I don't think is quite on that level, he was a high pedigree guy who has shown flashes, even in some of these disaster seasons. I can find you chunks of 2019 to get excited about, even though he had a 538, 146 combo that year. So I'm with you 100%. I'm not quitting Raylo. Dirt cheap price. Sign me up. Some guys like I said, I have Lorenzen as well. I've been making the comp of like, not that they're exactly the same, but it is fitting that they're on the same team when CJ Wilson was with LA and converted from reliever to starter. It was with Texas first, then went to LA, and it was like, how's this going to work? And it ended up working pretty well. And I think we get locked into these roles for guys, and we haven't really seen Lorenzen start that much. I think this could definitely work. His teammate, youngster Reed Detmers, saw some things I liked out of him last year too. There's nothing in the statistical profile that's really going to jump out. It's more of a watch Reed Detmers, and you can see the stuff that's the foundation to making him good. He's a top pick. He was just drafted in 2020, so I'm not going to bag on a guy even for a bad 20 2/3 at the major league level when he had 8 AAA innings. Like, they gave him those innings, just to kind of get a litmus test and see where he was at. They realized, okay, he's not quite ready. I think he starts the season in the minors, but we know the Angels pitching is not locked and loaded. So Reed Detmers could come up at age 22 and make an impact. I think he could be a fun 4.5, 5-month guy. Nate Pearson, I mean, this is the fantasy community in a nutshell with how they overreact to prospects and just discard them if they don't immediately
another guy whose videos come out recently, and he's thrown 100.
Yep.
And looks healthy. So yeah.
And we know he's just got the livest arm, and it could go either role, right? Jordan Romano might be looking over his shoulder at Nate Pearson, but so might their 5th starter, because he could go either way. I just want to take a live arm like that who's going to be in the majors, similar to the Ronaldo Lopez thing, where the role doesn't necessarily matter to me. Tyler Beatty, shouts to Eno. He's back on the Beatty train. I was listening to them. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on Beatty too. I will take him. He was showing a little bit. Injuries have ravaged Beatty's career, full stop. Like, they have really limited what he's been able to do. He's gonna be back. He's gonna be age 29. He's still young enough to find something, and go back in that 2019. It's a 5.08 ERA, 148 WHIP. But again, you can find glimpses of interest there and see if he can get back. And we always trust San Francisco, so I like that as well. And then Garrett Crochet, Michael Kopech's going to get the starting opportunity there. He might be only in the bullpen, but again, live arm. I could have put him under relief pitching, just a live arm who's very good. Glenn Otto, I've spoken about him in Texas. I think he's actually pretty intriguing, and I think he's kind of being glossed over. Texas is a nice place to pitch. I like him. Mitch White for the Dodgers. We don't know what the Dodgers are going to do. Obviously, if we hadn't had a lockout, we'd have a lot more clarity on where their team is, because they would have made moves, and we'd have some stability on how their rotation, everything's going to break down. But I mean, and I'm not saying this to roast you, but Andrew Heaney's not locked and loaded. Tony Gonsolin's not locked and loaded either. Neither's David Price. 3/5 of their rotation has some questions. And Mitch White pitched really well for them out of the bullpen last year in like a swing hybrid role. I think he even had some opens, because you'll see some starts there, but I think they were just a couple inning opens. But he's a big time prospect for them. He's been a big prospect before. I think he started to get some of that prospect sheen back last year, even though he's 26 and no longer a eligible for prospect list. But I think people started to say, oh, this is why he was well regarded. So Mitch White with the Dodgers is somebody I like. And then Matt Liberatore for the Cardinals, just another prospect to keep a close eye on. He did make it to AAA last year, right?
Matthew Liberatore? I believe he did, but
he did. Yeah. Oh, his full season was there. 124 2/3, 24% strikeout, 6% walk rate. I think he's right on the cusp of having a very impactful season. Okay. And that defense is awesome. And then Dan Straley is back from overseas.
We talked about him when he signed on the Sunday pod. So
yeah, so he's back, Dan Straley, and I'm not going to quit him. So, and he signed with
Arizona.
That's right. So yeah, and then relievers. Let's rifle through them, because we're coming right up on your time here. We both have Josh Stomont. And what'd you say when I told you I drafted Barlow and then Stomont? What'd you say?
That's a must do. Like I think, like, if you're gonna draft Scott Barlow, just pair him with Stomont and hope that one of them holds the job for the whole year. Now, totally obviously, another guy could emerge. Sure, that always happens in bullpens, but
those are the top two.
I think often people are afraid of, and I think you mentioned this. People are afraid of handcuffing relievers. Don't be. Don't
especially in a DC, because you can't go get anybody else.
Absolutely, you have to in a DC. Sometimes I'll take a whole bullpen, and sometimes that'll blow up in my face. I mean, it happened a few years ago when I think everybody was like trying to get like Sean Kelly and Coda Glover.
Yes. Oh my God, that
Of the
Washington
Nationals,
pen.
and that's when they traded for Blake Trinan.
Yep.
And so like everybody drafted like 3 or 4 different guys in that Washington bullpen, and then like right before opening day,
It was
they
none of
traded
it.
for a different guy.
Those dicks.
So, but I mean that kind of stuff's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I think Stelmont is still got too much talent at arm, and at some point he may get an opportunity to close, especially if Barlow struggles at some point. So
give us the rest of your relievers here, and then I only have 2 extras beyond that, so we'll be done here very soon.
Cody Hura, I butchered his name, even though
you were close though. Hoyer,
yeah,
in Chicago for the Cubs. He went from one Chicago to the other.
He's a favorite of Jason and my tag team partner Shelly Verstrate. He could definitely take that job from Wick. I think Wick gets that job to start, but Hoyer could jump right in and
Agreed.
pick up if Wick struggles or get hurt again. Trevor Rosenthal, I don't know where he's going to end up, but I mean, if he's healthy, and the reports are that after thoracic outlet, he's actually doing fairly well, he could get an opportunity somewhere. Art Warren, we talked about a bunch on the pod as a guy that I think could end up getting saves in Cincinnati. I think that is just a committee situation. We just talked.
Jeff Erickson, big Reds guy on the RotoWire when I was talking to them today on Sirius, said the same thing, says it's going to be a collection, and gave Art Warren a hat tip. So just another guy who's close to it. Go ahead.
We just talked about Brent Sutter. So, I mean, 12 wins last year out of the bullpen. He's going to have a similar role again this year. So I love guys like that. And then I threw Andershafen and Alex Kolomay on there. Both are free agents. And if there's a team looking for a proven closer, quote unquote, but don't want to spend any money on like Hanley Jansen or an Ian Kennedy, Kolomay and Chafin may be those guys.
Especially Kolomay, because he's also a righty. And, you know, Chafin kind of has that lefty bias. Like, I don't know why we still do that with the lefty bias of closers, but Kolomay, I mean, he's got a good number of saves. I agree with you there. And Chafin was really, really good last year.
Yeah, so I think either of them could find themselves at least in the mix for saves somewhere, or just straight up the guy going after pick 400 with the way people are paying for saves. You might as well just take a dart throw on one or both.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Alex Kolomay is 4th in saves since 2016. Now that includes his 2 big seasons, but even if I lop those off and just go with since 18, when he has 12, 30, 12, and 27, that still puts him 10th. Yeah. Someone's going to pick up Alex Kolomay to close. I agree with you. And then my last one's Bruce Dark-Gratterall, just a live arm. Blake Trinan could be the guy. They could bring Jansen back. I understand that. But Bruce Dark-Gratterall is a stud in the making, it seems like. And I don't love going to Colorado for pitching at any point, but Carlos Estevez and Robert Stevenson are both guys that, 400 exactly for Estevez, and then Stevenson behind him at 648. I think either of those guys could be the guy. You don't want to get too hung up trying to spec for saves in Colorado, obviously, but you need saves. And if you're desperate, I think those are the 2 live arms to go for in Colorado.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's some gold digging post 400 or later, I guess, and some of the guys are actually right on 400. Lots of gems here. I think if we go back at the end of the year, obviously we cast a wide net here, but there's a lot of interesting talent. I think the big point I wanted to drive home, though, is that your draft's not over once you get into the 400s. One of the drafts, I don't know if it's the one we're in or the Speakers League, somebody said, we're now to the part of the draft that I like, and it was because we hit like pick 350. So, that's where – it's not where leagues are always won. I'm not going to make a definitive statement like that, but leagues can absolutely be won by hitting a few gems in this area. So you got to get going, Justin, but great chatting with you.
One more thing to remember, just since we're talking about like these kind of late drafts and stuff like that, and these draft and holds, is your team sucks.
You're a bad person.
I had to end with that.
You're a bad person. I honestly couldn't believe that you crapped on that team. I have such a good team here. It's so good. I've been doing great.
Oh man.
And if you don't think I'm going to run the numbers between these 2 teams when the drafts are done, you just don't know me. I'll say that.
I absolutely know you will.
All right, Justin, great speaking with you. We'll be back on Friday.